All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the test of our first podcast. If you're interested in hearing the ramblings of a crazy, drug-fueled, and drunken cyborg from the year 4020, stay tuned. We're going to try out a couple new settings, and we're trying to record this in different ways, and I'm sure this will be recorded very differently in the future. We're just trying to see if maybe we can stream it, or if the sound's coming out correct. I think the format we're going to try to do, 21 questions we're going to do first, maybe, obviously, when we're streaming, and we have people following us, we're going to try this. So think about the 21 questions you want to ask me about my modifications and being a cyborg from the future, or any other questions you have about me being a sideshow artist. We're still trying to come up with a name of this. We're either going to do me solo as Slim Cyborg Podcast or Faded Freak Podcast, something like that. Once we get our producers involved and we get co-hosts and guests, we'll probably call it Synthesis Reaction Podcast and or Faded Workshop Podcast once we get people involved. So I don't want to say names yet because we're still trying to get this all worked out. We've got a lot more software and hardware to figure out to be able to run these things. Hopefully everybody's interested in hearing these stupid-ass stories that I have. We're going to talk about technology currently, what just came out in technology-wise for bionics, for circuitry, for implants, anything in the future that has to do with space. We're going to be talking about that. I want eventually to have a message chat room open so you can ask me questions. We're going to interview guests, as long as have a co-host that will talk about their experiences and entertainment. This is going to be mainly based around the weird, the strange, the crazy. Hopefully it's very entertaining for all of you. If not, tell me why you don't think it is and what you think we should do to make it better. So let's go over a short history right now of how I thought of myself becoming cyborg. And we'll talk about a couple other subjects. And then we will try to post it and see if this is going to be something cohesive on the socials of the medias. If not, we'll try to reformat it. It's going to keep being reformatted. I will soon have an intro and an outro and music. We're going to have music guests on, entertainment guests, people that work on stage in front and behind. We'll be talking to people of all walks of life to get interesting viewpoints so that we can try to get as many points of view on reality as we can. We'll even try to talk about subjects like, are we cyborg? Is this an augmented reality we live in? Are we AIs? What happens when we wake up and when we die? Not specifically being religious, but sci-fi and technology is what I want to focus in on. We will talk about fun things like ghosts and Bigfoot and other things, but I want to mainly focus in on is the experiences that we've had as entertainers and people that work in the industry. So we will have burlesque performers on, acrobatist, contortionist, people like that are coming through Colorado. I don't want just locals, but we're going to be talking to artists from around the world, hopefully, having people on as phone-in guests, video guests, as well as at some point in time, I don't want to be just stuck where I'm at. I want to go to establishments and do interviews there, do shows, hopefully at bars and in clubs, places that we can find access to before they open, or where we can get access to with a limited amount of noise so that we can have good audio broadcasting for these things. So I have a lot of plans for the future. Being an insane sideshow artist that ran a club in Tijuana, Mexico at 19, put on 4,000 person events in the early 2000s in LA. I'm getting old and I don't know if I can stand up and do these shows anymore, so we might as well just sit around and talk about all the fun things that I did and have fun with it. I want to give entertainment to people that are sitting around and want to listen to the insanity of the lives that we lived. I'm always going to say this warning, and we're going to more produce all of this stuff in the future. All of this is for entertainment. All the stories and everything I tell you are trying to be as truthful as possible, but a lot of the stories that are being told are for entertainment. When we talk about news reports, scientific documentations, and write-ups, we will try to be as truthful as possible to the facts that we find in those. When I was younger, I did a lot of drugs. So the aspect that I responded and saw things may not have been exactly what happened in real life. The stories that I tell and others will tell are based on our perception of how these things transpired. If there are people that were involved with these stories and they want to call in and they want to put their 5 cents, 2 cents into the story to collaborate them, then please do. Anything I say is merely for entertainment, and I did live through most of these stories. But I may have blown them out of proportion a little bit because of the situation I was in. I'm not deliberately trying. Again, this is just all for entertainment. Take it with a grain of salt. Have fun with it. Laugh. Show your friends. Tell your friends about how dumb I was. That's fine. I'm not stating these things as actual facts, even though I believe I did live through these. No one has proof that we are not living in a simulation anyways, and this is not all a video game. Going off of that, let's go through one of my stories. Why not, right? If you're in the chat, or there is a chat at this point in time, say yes. If not, we will have a chat soon. We'll get to all of those things. The more that you people like, share, and subscribe to my channel, or to this video, or to anything on Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, Twitter, any of those things, the more that you support me, the more that we can get people interested in this and we can have more fun with all this stuff. Because all I want to do is just give you entertainment. I'm not here to make money off of any of this, although we will have a Patreon link in the bottom and a GoFundMe, and you can PayPal me or Venmo me. I'm not 100% doing that for this. I just want to tell funny stories before I die. My memoirs need to get out there, and I'd rather tell them to you in a story like this, in this format, than write it down in a book and have you guys buy a book that has all this written down. I'd rather just tell you firsthand, or have you guys see my ugly mug telling these stories. If that's not what you want, I'll write a book, and you guys can read it in a book, or you can just turn off the video and just listen to it, or put it on closed captions and just read the closed captions with my punk ass face not on there. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I just have funny stories and fun stories to tell with our guests that I want them to tell their stories. With our co-host, we will have a producer or two. There's going to be lots of things added on to all of this eventually. This is just a test to see if maybe any of this works or if any of you are interested. And if you're interested, again, do what I asked in the beginning. So let's just start a story right now, kind of how I got started in becoming a cyborg, or what got me interested in being a cyborg. We'll do like 2 or 3 minutes of that, and then I'll tell maybe like a joke or two. Eventually, we will be featuring a musician, a band, some type of artist, with them being interviewed, or we will just feature a song from a new upcoming artist or somebody who reaches out to me. So if you're interested in either being on this show, being featured, or having a write-up done about you from somebody else or something, just message me or contact me somehow, way, shape, or form, and we'll get that going. Going from there, let me hit this bowl real quick. If you don't know, again, this show is only for adults. This is not for children. I will put this in the details. This is for 21 and up. We will be talking about drugs, alcohol, and sex. If you are under 18, do not subscribe. Do not listen any further than this. So now that we've gone that far, I am not worried about being demonetized yet. I need 1,000 subs and 1,000 hours of you people watching my stuff for me to even get close to being monetized. So until then, we're just going to keep doing this. For all those people out there that don't know me, I used to be called Slim Fady. That was my DJ name. I was actually named that when I was 14 years old, hanging out with a bunch of gangsters. I used to... Let me reiterate that. When I was 19 years old, I used to live in low-income housing. And there were a bunch of 14-year-old gangsters that used to hang out around the front door. There were steps. It was a 3-story building for every apartment complex. And every complex had a set of 16-year-old to 14-year-old gangsters that would hang out on every flight of steps. Because they were too young to drive, so they could not leave, and so they just hung out in front of their little apartment complex. Each little block had their own little gang. So one day I was smoking weed in my apartment. I came out. The gangsters, the little 14-year-old gangsters, like, "Yo, what up, Slim Fady? Damn, you smoke a lot of weed." I was like, "Ha ha ha, yeah, that's funny." I went and smoked a cigarette outside the apartment because we don't smoke cigarettes inside. For the rest of my time living there, every time I walked down the street, every time I passed anybody, if they were 6 years old, if they were 40 years old, everybody in the apartment complex, "Yo, what up, Slim Fady? Yo, you smoke a lot of weed." So that's how I got my nickname a long time ago. If you look up above me, this is Slim Fady. My tattoo artist who tattooed my face. Give it up for Rags. He's out there probably listening. He's still a really good homie of mine. He's the one who made me that, and he's the one who tattooed my face. Most of my face. I had 4 Zachs tattoo my face. But the original one, he tattooed me. But that was my OG nickname in the ghetto in San Diego. I was Slim Fady since I was young. Alright, I want to talk about another subject right quick. I didn't even mean to go on that tangent, but that was fun. it's nice remembering about some of this stuff and being able to talk to you people about some of this stuff. That's why I did this. Is I just want to talk to people and I just want to say shit and I just want to like let everybody know about what I lived before I die. Because I mean, like, I don't expect to die anytime soon, but I feel like I lived like 100 persons live in one lifetime. I've done so much stuff. I experienced a lot of crap. Why should not everybody get to hear about it? Especially since most of this shit's funny. So real quick, I just want to go over something not funny, and then we'll go over something else funny right quick. Everybody asked me why I became a cyborg. The reason I became a cyborg is because when I was 12 years old, maybe 14, I was young. My mom took me to a bookstore, and she asked me to pick out a book. And I walked around that whole bookstore, and I looked through book after book after book, and I just kept reading the backs, kept looking at the front. Don't judge a book by its cover. Sure, whatever. I finally came across this book, and it was called Hell, a Cyberpunk Thriller. I'm a 14-year-old kid, a 12-year-old kid. I just want to be punk as hell. I want to be a rebel. The cover of this book is people falling in the mouth. If I remember this right. I could be not remembering this right. But I swear the cover was a demon's mouth open and people falling into its mouth. I was like, oh my god. Like, and it's called punk. You know, when you're a kid, everybody wants to be a punk. You know, you're like, yeah, I'm hardcore. I'm a rebel punk. So my mom bought me the book. I took it home. Damn, dude. I don't know how somebody should or shouldn't be brought into this existence of being a freak or being weird, because I don't have kids. And being a sideshow artist, when we do all these shows, I try to like make it palatable for the kids. But this book talked about demons who are running prostitution rings. Satan was connected to the Ethernet, and it was actually the internet. And when you were caught by the cyber police, instead of them killing you and you went to heaven or hell, they would put you in a stasis where you lived hell for eternity until they turned off your body, living in these pods. I was experienced to cyborg technology at a very young age, and to a very extreme extent, where I was thinking about insane possibilities for all of this cybernetic technology. The internet wasn't even around when this book came out. It was barely there. Like, nobody even knew what it was. There was no such thing as an actual website. So when they were talking about people like logging in and changing their identities, or talking to people in different places and giving them information, and then when you showed up to a place and you had a chip or a card that you would give somebody and your information was already on that, in the early 90s, that was not even heard of. So my experience to cyborg technology and cybernetics and the internet and the interwebs was very early on. My stepdad taught me how to build PC computers when I was 12 years old. I understood what a motherboard was, and RAM stick, and why the components of a keyboard and a mouse worked, and things like that. So I've been pushed. I was brought into the light of cybernetics at a very young age. That's why I turned myself into what I call myself Cyborg. And I do have the LED implants and microchip implants. and a couple other implants, which is the beginning of some of this. We're at 20 minutes. I'm going to go like 2 more minutes just because I want to see how they told me that if I do a little bit more than 10 minutes through the algorithm, that I may be able to pick up more people. When I was under the assumption or a couple years ago, that if I went under 3 minutes or 5 minutes, that I was going to get put more in the algorithm. Of course, algorithms change. Now that we can do adult stuff, we may be able to get our stuff pushed up higher on the search bar of the algorithm. We'll see. I'm not doing this to make a shit ton of money. I'm not doing this to become famous. I'm already pretend famous. Ha 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 ha. It's a joke. I just want to get my stories out, and I want to get other people's stories out, and I want to share things from other people. I just feel like sometimes maybe I don't need to be on stage pushing the boundaries when I could be talking about the stories about the stuff we did in the past. Speaking of that, really quick, I just want to talk about how I got into entertainment really fast, and then we'll end this. And this one is not going to be cut up, but in the future we will have different segments. It will be properly, hopefully produced with an intro, outro, with a band, with some music, with a co-host, a producer will be producing it soon, and interviews, and lots of other features with a chat. So before we get to that, I just want to let everybody know how I got into being entertainer. I'm not going to cut any of this stuff. It's going to be hilarious to watch this in like 10 years. Anyways, my father had a shop in Seaport Village in San Diego. While we were there hanging out, we would go run around Seaport Village running amok. I know the people that work there were pissed that there was these 2 young kids that were just running around constantly all the time. We destroyed the arcade. But after a while of being destructive and not knowing what to do, there was a magic shop run by an older couple in the port. And I would go in there. I have a younger brother who would be around me, and that's why I keep saying we. If you ever hear me say we when I'm talking about when we were younger. I had a brother and 2 younger stepsisters. Well, we'll talk about those in the future. So if you ever hear me say we or whatever, that's who I'm referencing. I'll talk about them again, most likely, because it's a big, intricate part of my life. But I would go into the magic shop, and in the magic shop, the older couple would realize that if they taught me and my brother magic tricks, we would go run to our father and go ask him for money so he would buy it for us. It's very genius on their part. I'm sure we bugged them enough for them to be like, oh my gosh, if these kids don't buy anything, and they're never coming back in. Totally understand that. And they had a left-handed shop in the back, and I'm left-handed. So that was another hook they brought in on me because I was a left-handed person. But anyways, they taught me how to be a ventriloquist, how to do the ball and cup, how to make things disappear, how to do card tricks. So in 5th grade, I came up with a 45-minute set of magic. And somehow my mom convinced the school to let me do a 45-minute assembly for the whole school, where all I did was just a magic set. I just did a magic show for 45 minutes. Not for the talent show. I did the talent show earlier, but that was Michael Jackson, Black or White. That was different, because that was popular in 1994 or 2 or around then. After I did that magic set, I had because this was at the end of the day, I actually had mothers and fathers come in while I was doing my set, and they saw it. And not just that, but I had children telling their parents, and these adults were telling their businesses that they were working at. Corporate events were calling my mom up and saying, hey, this magician kid, we want him to come in. I'll do 5 more minutes and then we'll be done. This is just a test run, and after this, everything's going to be way more edited and produced. Okay, so anyways, my mother was getting phone calls from parents. Hey, we have a corporate gig. We're doing an Easter party. We're doing a Santa Claus thing. We're doing a St. Patrick's Day event. Can your son come out and dress as the Easter Bunny? Can he dress as the Leprechaun? Can he dress as Santa Claus? At 14 years old, I dressed as Santa Claus and had kids sitting on my lap after I did a magic show. So, at a very young age, I was already doing corporate events and being on the microphone on stage in front of people, doing these events. So I started at a very young age doing all this. So turning myself into a sideshow artist was not very unexpected. It was just taking on an on-stage art form and turning it into a new aspect. The real reason I like sideshow comparatively to magic is because sideshow is real, magic is an illusion. I'm faking you with a sleight of hand with something, where sideshow is technically real, even though your mind not be seeing it exactly how you think, but I am actually lifting a keg with my ears. I'm actually swallowing a sword. I'm actually lifting weights from piercings. I'm actually letting people staple money to me. So that is the small difference. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for checking this out, and if you stuck around to the end, thank you so much. Hopefully, eventually, we will have live streams going on. YouTube will not let me have live streams yet, but I've got to get more statistics going on for that to happen. If you enjoyed this, share it with your friends, like it, comment on it, tell me what you liked and what you didn't like, or we want to critique it until we make it something that you want to see or hear. I'm here for you. I just want to share my stories. So thank you all very much. You all have a good night, and we will hopefully see you soon.